You ever notice how some folks can look you dead in the eye, smile real sweet, and tell you that your private lake is actually theirs, just because it's always been that way? Yeah, that happened to me. Let me tell you how a quiet farm with goats, a spring-fed lake, and a fence I built with my own two hands turned into the set of a full-blown HOA showdown, complete with golf carts, clipboard armies, rogue teenagers, drones, court orders, and believe it or not, a casserole diplomacy effort. Grab your coffee, sit back, this is one for the books. The first time I ever saw this place, the sun was slanting through the cedars just right, making the gravel drive sing under my tires. There's a lake tucked back in the corner, clear enough to count every pebble on the bottom, and a concrete pool beside the farmhouse left over from the last owner who hosted church picnics and baptisms even in winter. I bought it for the quiet, the space, and maybe if I'm honest, because I always wanted a place where the only rules were my own. Right after moving in, I tackled the fence line black woven wire on cedar posts, sturdy as you please. I keep goats, and if you've never tried to keep a goat from going somewhere, just know they'll outsmart you 9 times out of 10. So that fence wrapped every inch right up against the line where the subdivision's beige houses peek over neat as a row of cookies someone else baked. Didn't take a week before the trouble started, a note smelling like perfume and resolve tucked under a rock at my mailbox. Dear neighbor, welcome. As you surely know, the lake behind your property has long been enjoyed by our families. Please remove your new barrier so summer can proceed as usual. No signature. But that penmanship, you could feel the intent. Now my deed is ironclad. No easement, no shared agreement. Just a lake, my fence, my pool, and my sore shoulders from driving posts. So I wrote back, clear as I could. Lake is private pool, is private fence, is staying. Please don't trespass. 2 days later, I met Sandra, the HOA president herself, rolling up in a golf cart draped in flags and righteous purpose. She introduced herself, clipboard in hand hair, like it survived a tornado, and told me straight, we have a tradition. Families come to the lake. Your fence is in the way. I said, it's not a public park, it's my lake. She didn't like that, insisted it's always been for the community, waved her clipboard like it was a wand. We can vote to require the fence removed. I laughed, said they can vote about mailboxes and flamingos, but not my land. Her smile shrank, said, we hate to escalate. I told her, I'm changing usually. The fence stays. That should have been the end, right? Yeah, not a chance. By Saturday, teenagers were climbing the fence, dragging inner tubes to the lake. I found them splashing goats, screaming like the world was ending. When I told them to leave, they said Sandra said the old owner let us. I get it. Nobody wants to be the cranky neighbor yelling at kids. But liability's a real thing, and I wasn't about to risk someone getting hurt on my watch. Signs went up. Locks went on cameras installed. My insurance agent voice made for wool socks, and bad news told me, keep records. If they cut the fence, take pictures. Document everything. By the end of June, the lemonade in those neighborly notes turned to straight lemon. One letterhead from Lakeview Community Association said I was impeding shared amenities. Another threatened legal action. I sent a certified letter back spelling out lawyer style that their HOA rules stop at my property line. Any access they used to have was a courtesy now revoked. Couple days later, I catch a guy, Caleb neon shirt, mirrored sunglasses, prying my fence with a bar. I told him to stop. He shrugged, said the board voted to restore access. Sandra, meanwhile, had already called 911, said I was blocking the community lake. So there I am on the phone with the sheriff's dispatcher explaining there's no weapons, just trespassers and farm animals. Deputy Rowe arrives, steady, unflappable. Asks for my deed and survey, which I hand over. He studies everything, nods, then turns to the gathered crowd in matching shirts and tells them, you can't dismantle somebody's fence. This is private property. Sandra tried the bylaws thing again, but Rowe shut her down, said, You can vote on your association, not his land. Caleb, slow clapped, called me a lake tyrant. Roe didn't blink. He gets to be the property owner. That's the law. I could have hugged him. You'd think that would cool things off, but all it did was give them new material. The next week, I got a letter from a property manager named Hollis with an attorney CC'd for that extra threat. He wanted a site walk. I replied, sure, Friday works. He showed up early, expensive glasses and attitude to match, tried to waltz right in. I stopped him at the gate. You don't walk unless I invite you. He tried to negotiate lifeguards waivers, a formal easement for everyone's benefit. I said, no strangers in bathing suits behind my barn, and no amount of waivers makes me your pool lifeguard. Sandre tried one more time, threatened 911 again, when I removed a community lake access sign they'd zip-tied to my fence. This time, the deputy scrolled through her phone and said, ma'am, you called 911 4 times about this fence. That's not what this line is for. Right when I thought we might hit peak ridiculous Orion, a quiet board member came by with cucumbers and an apology. Said he voted against the crusade, said he missed swimming but understood boundaries. We traded eggs for garden veggies. That night, I caught 2 teenagers sneaking to the pool, same kid from before, now sheepish with a friend. I gave them the "it's dangerous. Don't make me call your parents" talk, made them pick up a napkin and let them go. Wrote it all down in the notebook just in case. Then came the drone buzzing my pool, scaring the goats, hovering like a nosy neighbor with wings. That was the last straw. I called my lawyer, Daria, who lives for bullet points and court filings. She sent a demand letter to the HOA trespass statutes, harassment, the works, and told me to keep the evidence coming. Pretty soon, I was in court with a pile of documentation thick enough to stop a bullet. The judge didn't waste time, asked if there was any legal right to access any easement. Nope. He granted a restraining order, told them to stay off my land, stop calling 911, and warned them, fences are not a suggestion. You'd think that was the end. But when the HOA tried to pass a special assessment for legal fees, the whole board fell apart, resignations, angry meetings, the works. Even Caleb got cited for criminal mischief and had to pick up trash in public parks. Poetic justice for a fence cutter. Right, Juniper? A neighbor with more sense than all the board put together brought over a casserole and organized a sprinkler day far from the lake so the kids could still have fun. No drama, no lawsuits, just neighbors being neighbors. After that, the peace finally stuck. The new board mailed everyone a letter. My lake is not theirs, no matter how many votes they take. HOA premiums went up, the drone retired, and even Sandre managed a real apology, said she confused sharing with handing me her liability. Last I checked, the only drama at the fence line was goats trying to break out for greener grass. So here's my question, and maybe you'll get where I'm coming from. Why is it so hard for some people to respect a simple boundary? Is it entitlement, nostalgia, or just a refusal to hear no and let it be? I'd love to hear what you think. Drop your own HOA or neighbor stories below. Let's commiserate, maybe laugh, maybe shake our heads. If you believe in property rights and a little common sense, hit subscribe. See you next time. And until then, keep your fences sturdy and your coffee strong.